Welcome back to Absolutely Marvel and DC. My name is Benny, that is Dylan, and that is Sal. And we are going to talk about a little movie that's kind of it's a little indie flick that I just heard about at the Sundance Film Festival. Have you guys heard of this great movie called The Batman?
The Batman!
The Batman!
Guys, this movie is so good.
It really is, and I want to break down this review into each of the acts so we can kind of talk about how each of these sequences come over. Because in my opinion, and for the record, I'm saying right now, we all like the movie. This is full spoiler territory.
Yeah.
If you just wanted if you clicked most likely an hour discussion about Batman and did not expect spoilers, that's on you. We're doing them now.
Do we want to just do some real quick general thoughts of the whole movie? And then
non-spoilery, I guess. It's it was really good.
Yeah, it was really good.
I will say, this movie I have been sort of quietly extremely excited for since I learned that Matt Reeves was directing, because the Planet of the Apes movies have been, my favorite franchise of movies for a long time, and his Planet of the Apes movies are, genuinely masterpieces. I love his style, I love his whole shebang, and it's here in full force in a way that is just beautiful. I adore this movie, and it's it's a good time. Go see it if you haven't. You have, but
right. But if you haven't, you should.
Please do.
Don't wait. See it in the theater.
Yep. No, I 100% agree. But okay, let's talk about this movie for a moment. And I want to say, I do have some nitpicks, but I am going to save them for the ending because we'll talk about it, what we liked, and pick them as we go. So let's start with the beginning. I'm trying to think of how this movie's. How would you break these acts up?
There's I don't know. The act structure is weird because it is just one long continuous mystery.
Yeah.
Which
is amazing.
Yeah, and it feels very fluid and not a huge issue with superhero movies a lot of the time is that the acts are very distinct, and the third act especially is always oh, well, here's the big fight, blah blah blah, and there is a big fight,
full of CGI,
sort of, right? But it's not very clear to the point of where it's you put down one issue and pick up another. It's very much this is a movie, and it goes. Which is also, that's a very... seeing this movie after having seen, the two other Planet of the Apes movies, and Cloverfield, which is a little different, which, that's pretty much all Matt Reeves has done, which is crazy.
I Googled it because Natalie's what else has this director done? And I'm like, stuff? I don't know off the top of my head. I know he's made movies. He got this job because he's not a new director.
No. This isn't Disney. They don't just give full major tentpole franchises to first-time directors.
Yeah.
But he definitely has that style, that very meandering kind of this is an epic, and we're gonna tell
but not but a very different kind of epic than Nolan. Nolan was I'm making an epic film.
Right.
And Reeves is I'm making an epic as well. And it's just a different kind, different style.
Yeah. So let's just take it from the beginning then, and we'll just kind of go through, and if something kind of jives in your mind, you want to talk about it at that point or jump ahead, that's fine. But I'll just start moving us from the beginning to the end, and you can just talk about whatever we want to talk about, since you're right, it is one big movie, one continuous thing. The first 30 minutes, right off the bat, is nothing but setting the tone and how this is going to be approached so that there is no question. It opens up with just what I loved about it. Who is Batman, and why are people afraid? It didn't open up with pearls rolling on the theater floor. No. It didn't roll up with the origins of Batman. We didn't see him training. We just jumped to, it's year 2. Everyone's afraid of me. It was almost 10 minutes of no Batman.
Yeah.
This is such a small thing, but the fact that the movie opens just with 2 seconds of the title and then it cuts that, immediately I was oh, this is for me. This is a good movie. But I also really love the and this is jumping ahead a little bit, but that opening sequence of hearing Batman narrate why people are afraid of him and kind of building up this the scariness of Batman, like the fear of like these criminals are just afraid of darkness when the bat signal is lit because they know what's coming. And to slowly have that facade unravel over the course of the movie of where it's like, oh, yeah, he has only been doing this for 2 years. The only people afraid of him are like lowlifes who are stealing from like, you know, random shit and doing like goofy stuff. He hasn't really had like a supervillain yet. And it's very clear that he's not experienced in that department, which is so cool. Very well done.
Yeah.
Well, how did you feel about the intro sequence there, Sal?
It's phenomenal. The way in which they handle the superhero narration and then tie it in directly with the Batman mythos of having him carrying on with a journal. Like that monologue isn't just him talking to us. Like Spider-Man, where he's like, "Who am I? Nobody asked, but let me tell you." This is he's writing it down like it's like reading a comic book. This is the most well-executed comic book movie I've ever seen. Where you feel like you're reading a Batman comic when you're watching this movie in so many respects, but tying the monologue into the journaling, I'm like, oh my god! That's what he does. And he keeps a journal.
The tiny world building thing of when I think it's later in the movie, he flips the journal over and it says the Gotham Project on it. Like that's just such a cool like this is what he's doing. Like this is a thing he's trying, and
exactly.
We don't need an origin or whatever. This whole movie's an origin.
Well, it's like we get it.
Yeah,
like
we
it's
get
one of those things where it's like, thank you. You know, we get it. We know how Batman was made.
Right.
What I liked about that is, first off, I was expecting some form of like credits roll, flashback, that kind of thing. So I was so happy we didn't get it. But then I also loved how brutal they showed the first fight to be. That going back to what Dylan had said about how the lowlifes are afraid of him, and we saw the lowlifes, and they were all terrified until there was like 8 of them. Right. And then they're like, no, you're just a guy in a suit.
Yeah.
only to see Batman, like he wasn't perfect. They got shots in. They were hitting him. He got shot so many times. By the ending, not to really go much into the ending, but by the ending, I was like, why has no one shot his face? Everyone is shooting his chest.
Somebody almost did.
That's right.
Yeah.
But I like when that shot of the darkness where it's like everywhere a criminal is committing a crime, they're looking into an alley and like he could come out at any minute. And then he does this thing and they carry it on throughout the movie where when he comes out of the darkness, he stamps his feet.
Yeah.
And it's such a cool, like, it's like in Inglourious Bastards when like Donnie Donowitz is banging the bat against the wall to scare the Germans as he comes out of the cave. It's just this intimidation factor. Yeah. And it's just like, wow. Like at first you're just like, what is this thumping? And then it's just the weight of him.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's awesome. And they kept it going. That was really cool.
Talking about like just really cool like shots too. The which I'm gonna mention a million of them in this.
Oh, the whole movie is nothing but shots.
Yeah, Jesus.
I want to comment on that before you go into the shots real fast. I want to say, thank you WB for letting him do that. Because all of those shots, I'm like, we have a 3-hour movie, and we've got like a 2-minute shot of him just walking slowly.
Yeah.
You mean to tell me no executive was like, how about we cut all of the atmospheric stuff out?
They're learning.
You know that was their conversation, because I remember them talking about how, because the movie's 2 hours and 56 minutes or something like that.
Right.
And so it's 3 hours. It's a 3-hour long movie. And people were talking about how bad they were like trying to cut it. And then just being like, fine, it's coming out, whatever. They'll watch a 3-hour Batman movie, and I'm like, yeah, they'll watch this 3-hour Batman movie. Like,
I don't know.
And no one complained. No one went to the bathroom. No one got up in my theater. Nobody.
No.
People were talking. I remember I tweeted a video of us like starting the movie, and somebody asked me like if there was a lot of like audience participation, because the last big superhero tentpole movie was No Way Home, which was like a roller coaster ride.
Right.
And like everyone was just screaming their heads off and carrying on. They're like, what was the theater reaction? And I was like, dead effing silence.
They were watching a movie.
Nobody was cheering. Nobody.
No!
I did get up to go to the bathroom one time only because I had so much popcorn and ran out of water. So I was like, I'm going to get water.
That's your problem.
And I'm
I
going to pee
fasted
while I'm
before
here.
this movie.
Right.
I did it like during a sequence. I was like right after a whole bunch of stuff happened, and we were kind of setting into the next one. I'm like, all right, I'll move quickly. I'll get a bottle of
Now's the
water.
time.
No one's going to pour anything. I'll run to the bathroom, and I'll run back to the movie theater. We'll be great. We'll be good.
Let me tell you, man, it was, you could hear a pin drop if you couldn't hear, if you could hear it over the awesome sound in this movie.
Oh, yeah. The only complaint I had about the sound,
true.
and I don't know if this is just because I'm getting old or what the deal is. Sometimes it felt like the score, which was incredible, was washing out some of the things people were saying.
That could have been the theater too. I saw it in IMAX, so it was like the sound was really well balanced. So it was just like, for me, I remember when we came out, my team was just like, that was like, I don't want to say it was loud because it wasn't, but it was like the sound was like another presence in the movie. Like, I don't
it was a
think
part of
sound.
it. The theme, like I haven't listened to it out of context of the movie, but I have a feeling that it doesn't work as well outside of the movie. But in the movie, oh my god, that theme is so well executed.
Yep. No, that theme permeates and then it sticks with you, and I was like humming it the whole time afterwards.
I heard a guy. I was going on my way to the bathroom. He was like talking to his girlfriend or something. He was like, "Bum bum bum bum." I can't stop singing it. I was like, "Yeah."
That's awesome. Yeah, man. I remember seeing Let There Be Carnage in IMAX, and that was the loudest movie I've ever seen.
Both of those movies are ridiculously loud.
Right? But one was a really loud movie, and the other one really used sound well. Like, I'm just saying, like, they were both loud, but in one, I'm like, there was just a bunch of cheating nonsense screaming at me at all times. And this one was just the use of sound and the use of music and like, Batman's footfalls are just like thud, like just everything about it was just like the car chase was not nearly as excruciating, like, you know, like it was loud, but not in a way where I'm like, oh geez, this is really kind of too much. Like, no, we're in it. Like, oh, the Batmobile. We haven't even gotten there yet.
Oh my god, I know.
What an awesome car.
Okay, well, let's just move forward here because basically the whole movie sets up it. So you know what? Let's move. I'm trying to move it forward, having some continuity through our review here.
Right.
Can I mention the sound quality shot I was trying to mention earlier, real quick?
Oh yeah, sorry.
Because I'll feel bad if I don't, because it's so well done. It's just one more thing from the very beginning of the movie. When the whole sequence of the opening where Riddler is watching the mayor's family.
Yes.
And when we see him for the first time, and like, you're not sure if it's like,
you're not sure if it's him there yet?
Like, maybe we're looking at Bruce Wayne as a child because he like is kind of playing with like a sword like a Zorro. Maybe this is a flashback. And then the first time we see like an answer to that is just darkness with these two white eyes.
Oh yeah.
And it's the reflection of Riddler's glasses from the TV. Oh my god.
That into the everyone being afraid of Batman to his first fight. That 100% set the tone for me. I'm like, this is going to be as close to horror as WB's going to let them get with a Batman movie. Because that was spooky. Yeah. He walks away and you're just like, whoa. Like, no fist fight, no explosion. We're just, whoa.
Yeah,
there's a murderer there.
Yeah, it was great. It was great. No, that being said, okay, here's really quick. I'm not wild about the Riddler's design.
Fair.
Right? Like, I'm not wild about it. I don't think a bowler hat and blazer would have worked for this film.
No.
You know, because forever, everyone's been talking about, like, what if Seven were Batman? Like, you know, doing that for the Riddler.
Sure.
And it's like, that's what this is. That's what this is, and they did it. And you know what? Like, it works for this movie, and there's potential for him to not have to do that anymore. But,
I had that... I had the thought multiple times after Riddler showed up. I was like, damn, David Fincher would do a killer Batman movie. And I was like, oh, this is that.
That's what this is now. Because, like, David Fincher wouldn't be able... Because you have to do cell phones and followers and live streaming.
Yeah.
Like, you'd have to do it, and Fincher couldn't do that with Seven. So it's like, they did it. I'm not wild about this design, but it works in this movie. And at no point was I like, I wasn't annoyed in the movie. I'm just saying that's not what I want the Riddler to be in other things. Like, he works in this.
Sure.
I mean, it works towards the ending when we had his like army kind of uprising. Yeah, and they all said where to buy it all.
Yeah,
like
it's very
that
cool.
made sense to an extent.
That also in the world explained henchmen and goons.
Yes.
Themed
totally.
goons.
It's a very
works,
cool
100%.
way to do that.
Anyway.
I want to ask you guys because God.
I was gonna say I think that I want to commend this movie again for like and it, mostly in the first 2 acts, I think, or like the first half of this movie is where most of this happens, is where they really embrace the fact that this is coming from a comic book without making it like off the wall, out of place, goofy. Like there's a lot of camp in this movie. Like there's comic book camp. The Penguin waddles at some point in this movie. Like there are really funny moments that are just like, oh right, this is a comic book, and we're embracing that without turning it into like Batman '89 or anything. Like it's This is still a movie.
Everyone in the universe takes it seriously. Like the world is real to them, and so it's fine and it works.
I love the realism of this world because, like, following with what you guys are saying there, it felt like they were trying. Like Christopher Nolan wanted to make it real, and Matt Reeves was like, "It's real, but we still have a guy in a bat costume and a man going by the name Penguin. So let's play into that.
Let's not kid ourselves here. This is a comic book.
Like the cops' reactions to Batman just walking onto a crime scene, like
that was awesome. Big shout out to Jeffrey Wright and Batman's relationship with Gordon in this movie.
Oh, it was
Someone
so good.
finally
Perfect.
actually filmed a real relationship between Batman and Gordon that works. I liked Nolan's Greg. Crap, why am I blanking his name?
Look it up real quick.
Gary Oldman.
Gary Oldman. You had me good. I was trying to. Then I couldn't remember the name of the movie. I'm like, which one? It's not The Batman. We just did
Gary
that.
Oldman's great.
Gary Oldman is amazing, and he looks just like Gordon from the comic books, and I love it, and I like the relationship overall. But like, this was comic book Batman and Gordon.
Yeah. This exactly. You nailed it there. Like especially when the cops later get Batman and Gordon gets him out of there. Like that is you nailed it. Perfect.
I am gonna say when Gordon first showed up, I did have one issue with Jeffrey Wright. Okay. I was having problems not seeing him as the guy from Westworld. I was like, oh
My whole
no,
thing,
Westworld's
I couldn't remember his name, and it was driving me insane. I was like, because I didn't know really any of the casting aside from obviously Robert Pattinson and Zoe Kravitz.
Me too.
And Jeffrey Wright shows up, and I'm like, what?
Oh yeah,
Awesome.
That's funny.
No, I knew he was
them.
Gordon. I knew that. I didn't know he was gonna have a big role though. I thought he was just gonna be, oh, there's Gordon, and like now he's gone. And that's that.
yeah. I did not know about John Turturro.
Which one was John Turturro?
Who did he play?
Falcone.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
that one.
yeah,
I didn't
yeah,
realize
yeah.
either, yeah.
And I
He's
was
hard to recognize because of those freaking
it's
glasses.
John Turturro! What a good idea! Also, really quick shout out, as an Italian, I really appreciate that this is the first movie and Batman audiovisual medium that actually pronounces his name right. Now, that being said, I understand Falcone is a thing that people say, but most people would not say that.
Well, I mean, the funniest thing is the
But they
amount
said
of people,
Falcone in this movie. I'm
they're
just
like
thank
Falcone
you.
versus Falcone, Ra's al Ghul versus Ra's al Ghul. Batman has the most multiple pronunciations I've ever seen on everything.
Well, he's enduring. He
and
belongs to everybody.
And what I love about that is everyone picks a hill to stand on. No, it's Ra's. No, it's Ra's. Do you know the original writer's intentions? And like, oh my God, what hill are you dying on? Why?
Who cares?
Yeah, and on this one, I win
Falcone
because it's
versus
Falcone.
I was gonna say Falcone versus Falcone. Same deal. People have this hill they stand on.
I know.
Where
That was a thought I had
Worked
too
for me.
during this movie, and you guys could probably tell me why I think Falcone when I see Falcone, but
Right.
like it makes, because I remember having that, like knowing that was a
They spell
point
it
of
with the E.
discussion.
Yeah.
they spell it with the E at the end. That's why people
I know
say
there's
Falcone.
an E, but
Yeah.
like it's I think there might have been some. Is there some other media where they say Falcone, like an adaptation that maybe like
I'm pretty sure.
I'm sure they
Living in
say
my
it in the
brain.
Long Halloween animated adaptation. I'm sure they
Okay.
say it, and like, he's not in the cartoons, but
So
He's
the question
great in
that I
this.
want to bring up next, and this is one of the, and this is probably my only sticking point, and I'll give you my opinion on this, my only major sticking point,
okay.
and I'll give you why I like and dislike what was done here at the same time. Okay, his Bruce Wayne. I I had to rationalize why his Bruce Wayne acted the way he did. Because he was like emo Pattinson with the hair down, slouching. And I'm just like...
This is Edward Cullen as Batman.
Yeah, that's what I was seeing was like more of an Edward... And I get the idea that, hey, he's brand new. He's more of a recluse because he hasn't been dealing with people. I get why they went that route, but they leaned very hard into it. And to me... And I get it. It's a different portrayal of Bruce Wayne because we are doing a year 2 thing. You know, Batfleck was supposed to be like 20 years down the road. Of course, the dude's going to be intimidating. You know, Michael Keaton was like at the end of his career practically already in that movie. You know, like everyone's always done the far out Batman. So I get that.
Yeah.
How did you guys feel about this portrayal of Bruce Wayne? The one that doesn't like the limelight, is avoiding everyone, is slouching, emo hair, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah. I think we've seen this version before. It's proto Bruce Wayne. He doesn't care.
Yeah,
like this
he's
is
not there yet.
This is a untested Bruce Wayne. He's like, I don't care. Like he's just.
He says that specifically. I don't care what happens. Do whatever.
Yeah.
And we've seen that version before. Yeah,
we saw that in Batman Begins. Unfortunately, like for me, it was like Batman Begins did it as well, where he's like, I don't care about my family. He's like, so you're just your family. So like, it's just. Batman. But like,
I like that.
You know,
I like that.
But I like that. I really liked in Batman Begins him being like, develop Bruce Wayne. He's a character. Have fun with it. In this one, it's like we're probably gonna get there. I mean, unless no one in this movie has to do any more movies that are Batman related. Like they're just like, we're good. Like I can imagine them being like, oh no, we're not gonna make any more. I know they will, but like who knows? But if they were to make more, I would like to see Alfred being like, you gotta play it up. You gotta do something. You can't just be like. Because if you scowl all the time as Bruce Wayne and they take your picture, and they take one picture of Batman, it's over for you.
I think, the Batman's whole arc in this movie, I think 100% points to him,
creating a persona.
Yeah, creating the Bruce Wayne persona, either to use it as a tool or because he genuinely like feels bad about not helping the city in that way, because that's his whole arc, is he realizes that he has to help the city in a different way because what he's been doing has done nothing but create the Riddler. So
that's true.
One thing I did like, and this is actually the subtlety, because I'm a fan of Robert Pattinson's actual acting, not Twilight era, but like post that, because
I've never seen a single Twilight movie.
They're not good.
I've probably told this story before. I don't know if I've done it on AMD. Just 2-second tangent here. I saw Twilight not knowing what it was because my wife and I like horror movies, and we're like, it's a vampire movie.
Oh
with
no!
werewolves. Let's go check this out.
It's like seeing Blade because you like vampires.
Yeah, and we went to go see Twilight, and we're like, what are we watching?
Yeah. Oh no!
Like we had these.
Because all we did at the time was like, I was in the army, I'd work 12-hour days, we'd come home, play video games. Like we didn't watch the news, read, like this was our life at the time.
Yeah.
And it was just hilarious because like we went to that expecting a vampire movie, you know?
Yeah, you did not get it. No, so I am not tainted by his portrayal as Edward Cullen, and I'm thankful for that.
He's actually a really good actor post Edward Cullen, and he's said outright he doesn't like that era because he didn't do much. Yeah. And what I did like about his portrayal of Bruce Wayne, and this is how I made the connection that he was trying to do a brand new Bruce Wayne, slouchy, I don't care. He did a lot of facial expressions that just showed how uncomfortable he was being Bruce Wayne. When he went to the funeral, that was all just expert acting on his part as Bruce Wayne. People calling out to him, people wanted to be a part of him, just the perfect turns, the perfect shy away, everything. He didn't want any of it. Yeah. So that's why I could accept that's the portrayal they were going for with Bruce Wayne. But it does double back to, this is the first time we've seen him go this far into the reclusive Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
That makes me kind of be, I get what you were going for. I think it works. I don't know if I liked it. Like, that's how I'm standing with it. You know?
I didn't care. Like, not that I'm not crapping on your interpretation. It's more just for me. I was just so happy that this movie existed, and I was just enjoying it. There was no point where I was like, I don't really like that, or I'm not really like keen on this portrayal. Like his Bruce Wayne is like, I'm like, he's still working on it.
Yeah. I think that's like, the plot is so uninterested in anything to do with Bruce Wayne. Like, there's no like, Bruce Wayne has a love interest. There's no like, Bruce Wayne's got to deal with the board. Like that's not here.
I mean, there was like 15 minutes total outside of the funeral that he was Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
Like it was all
just
a
Batman movie.
And I was on board with that because we said it before in the last thing where we said Bruce Wayne's not that interesting, and I still stand by that point.
No.
The Telltale game proves that. Like,
also, this is basically the Telltale game.
Fair. The I want to point out a small line at that funeral where Falcone tells Bruce that he's almost as reclusive as him, and it's like, what a way to compare these two characters in like such a subtle I love that.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Oh, I know. And when he puts in the line, where it's like, his old man saved me. I'm like, oh, that's in the book. and they made it because it would be a really interesting plot point in this movie. Oh, like way to do that. Way to go. No wonder they were giving out free copies of Long Halloween at the theater.
Yeah, were they yours? They weren't doing it at mine. Mine had Riddler fries and the Gotham burger.
I saw that. Did you get any? Did you get the Riddler fries?
I ate dinner beforehand, or I probably would have just been like, I don't feel very funny still.
Right? Yeah. I don't get it.
I saw it at 3 p.m., so there was no fanfare. It was just here's the movie.
7. So yeah.
Yeah.
I saw
Yours
it
was
at
like
8.
a special screening though.
I saw it.
I saw it at 8, and I'm just gonna comment on this real quick because it's on my brain at the moment. We're talking about when we saw it. I saw it at 8, and I think me and Andy both got out of the theater. We both said, I feel like it was a little too long, but I also feel like that's because I saw it at 8. The movie wasn't wrapping until 11:30. I'm normally in bed watching TV until I pass out at 11. So like 10:45, the movie's in its big climax, and I'm like, this is so good. Like,
I think there's definitely stuff you can cut. I think it is a bit long. Honestly, the only part of the movie that started to lose me and I started to wander a bit was weirdly the car chase, which is the most.
Natalie said the same thing.
Yeah, that's the most like. Long. To me, that was the most like we need another action scene, like studio mandate thing. Like make a really long car chase.
I
with
disagree because the Batmobile got such
car.
a small amount of screen time to give us a Batmobile chase.
Yeah,
Maybe because
sure.
I like cars and stuff, and I just loved that Batmobile.
Yeah.
But that thing was amazing.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Warner Brothers was like, Benny and I went to that thing in Burbank with all the Batmobiles.
Yeah.
Warner Brothers loves their Batmobiles.
Yeah, they wanted to. I went there too. They love those things.
Yeah, they love those freaking cars, and they're like, get another car on the list.
I feel
this car was there.
I feel like the purpose of the length of the Batmobile chase was to go back to what you said earlier. The big guys aren't afraid of Batman. As proven by Penguin just coming out and being like, vengeance!
Yeah,
you know what I mean? He didn't care. He didn't go, oh no, the Bat's here. He came out hosing him, got in a car, tried to drive away. And I feel like it showed the determination and also the skill of Batman at year 2.
Yeah.
Because like Penguin caused like a 20-car pileup and Batman's like, I'm here!
I mean, I saw the trailer, which is kind of unfortunate because it's such a cool moment and it works so well. But it still worked in the theater. I hear what you're saying. I understand. And I'm usually the first person to be like, here's where you could cut it. Here's where you could keep this, tuck the... I had no problems with any of the scenes of this movie. Every scene, I'm like, woohoo! Like the car chase, I was impressed by how long it was. I was like, this is a long car chase.
Yeah.
Like, they're really
like you think he's gotten away and Batman's like, nope, spins around, does the whole thing.
Right? Like you could cut that. Like you could cut the turnaround and then make the chase like, 20% shorter and make yourself a 2.5 hour long movie. But like, no, it's cool. It works. And like the car being like just so intimidating and scary, like when it first reveals itself and it's just revving its engine like it's a monster coming out of the darkness. It's like when Batman comes through the alley, it's like another scene of that, but it's the car this time. I'm like, that's pretty cool.
No, for me, the car was probably one of my favorite sequences. And like I said, maybe it's just because I liked the car. I liked the way he handled the car. Yeah. I loved the jumping of the car. I loved seeing Penguin's reaction, like, I won't get away.
Yeah. Oh, no.
And that's what I feel like they were going for, to show you that there is no getting away from Batman.
Yeah.
That's what Batman is getting into your head. You will not get away from Batman. So for me, that was great. I loved that one.
Loved it.
What happens after the car chase sequence? Because now we're starting to nail.
Well, then they interrogate Penguin and they talk about.
That's like some of. I loved the lack of humor in this. I want to comment on that because that was one of the more humorous scenes.
Yes.
I loved the lack of humor because when they did crack a joke like that, or you've got a lot of cats, like they
Thumb
stuck
drive?
so well. Yeah.
Yes.
It would stick so well. I'm actually one of the few people that don't mind the MCU humor.
Yeah.
But the problem with the MCU humor is since it's wisecracks the whole movie, like none of it really stands out. Like it's just
the big joke moment is instead an emotional punch. It's like something sad.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I wasn't expecting that. In this, it's like, oh, I wasn't expecting Penguin to be kind of funny. And like this sequence that you got a lot of Cats moments really cuts the tension in that scene in the movie.
Definitely.
The audience, the audience, it's great because it gives the audience permission to laugh.
Yeah.
And that, but the audience, but that means you got the audience on the hook, and that was a moment.
It's also I love the chemistry and like the chemistry between Batman and Catwoman in this movie, and how uncomfortable Batman clearly is around this woman because of how like confident she is so good and so well executed.
It felt.
I love them.
We've had Catwoman portrayals for a while now. Other than maybe Michelle Pfeiffer's original version, this is the most, because that doesn't feel like modern day Catwoman. This feels like a modern day Catwoman in the comics.
Perfect.
Yes,
No
she
pun
does the
intended.
role so well. The way she handles herself, the way she acts. My only complaint with her is why do we still not have a traditional Catwoman mask? They give her this ski mask that had like
I gotta
little
tell
poops.
you, when I saw that mask in promo art, I was like, ugh, what an apology. I hate this. And in this movie, I'm like, I don't really mind.
Works in context.
It worked in context. I got no complaints about it. I mean, like, and it's all proto. It's all getting there. Maybe she'll do a whole thing. But if not, I don't really care. It's fine. The fact that she's wearing one at all, like Zoe Kravitz, like, I'm building a brand. I will not be wearing this mask more than 25% in this movie. Pattinson's like, I couldn't care less. Do you want no Bruce Wayne in this movie? I'll just wear the mask all the time.
Oh, he wore the mask so good. When it first started, I was still having the issue because it's such an open chin, and I'm like, I still don't like that.
I know.
It grew on me by the end. Yeah, I was
whole suit. I was like, yes. And hey, remember all the speculation about that about the bat signal? We were like, oh, it's a gun, and he takes it out. It's the friggin' Batarang.
Yep, I loved that.
It was pretty cool.
I started questioning that
Such a big,
midway
meaty
through. I
Batarang.
saw it had like hooks on it too. I was like, what is that? Like, is there
It's
something
like a
going on?
utility thing. It's like one of those, it's like you got it at REI. But I love that thing. Subtlety in this movie exists, despite the fact that it's also a Batman movie, and it's not all entirely subtle. But like, you're in Act 3, and Falcone suggests that Maroni killed the Waynes, and then it turns out that he didn't. And like why? Like, you throw it in there, and they do, and it works because it's just like he'd do that because he would do that in that sequence. But we're already in Act 3, and we don't need another like double cross or surprise. But they put it in there anyway because that's what the character would do, and it worked. And I'm like, wow, like it's just.
What I loved is a follow up to that when Alfred says maybe it was Falcone. I'm like, oh, are we throwing in like a whole thing at this last late in the game? Like,
I love that. That like also Andy Serkis as Alfred. Great,
job.
And of course it's a Matt Reeves movie. He's gonna put Andy Serkis in it.
Right, right.
But the unclearness on who killed the Waynes, people have their theories, which is so fun. Like in the comics, I feel like a lot of the time, depending on the writer, it's just like nobody knows and nobody has any theories for some reason. But in this movie, it's like nobody knows, but a lot of people suspect like someone. But Alfred's clearly like,
more sense.
I wish I knew for sure. It's why I never told you because I don't know.
That moment is amazing because it's just such a real Alfred moment and also a real Batman history moment, because I love how he just, it could be him, it could be him, it could be some random guy. We don't know.
I like how they still threw that back in there too. Like they were setting up that it was somebody potentially, and then they're like, or it's just a random guy. We don't know.
Yeah.
We did get a big laugh in the hospial sequence when Alfred is lying there in the hospital and Bruce sits there and he wakes up and he's so happy to see him. He goes, "You lied to me."
Oh yeah.
Why did you lie to me my entire life?
Wait, give him a minute.
Bro.
He just woke up.
What I loved about that was, again, it was with the expert acting of Pattinson and Andy Serkis. Because we all saw on Alfred's face, like, oh, you came to the hospital for me. Thank you. You lied to me. Oh, no! What?
It's so great. But that moment really got a laugh out of the audience.
I want to talk about this.
My whole life.
It was a minor sequence, but I loved how they handled it. they tricked us into thinking that Batman was going to save Alfred from the explosion.
Yeah, the way they
Only
played
to
with the
be
time.
doing that sequence in concurrent to
That
the
was so
phone
well
ringing
done.
and then revealing all of that happened. I was like, oh, that was so perfect because he's already been blown up.
Right,
Like,
that happened an hour ago.
that,
I'm like,
like-
what?
That's another thing about like this movie. I feel like some people could criticize this Batman, and I think, you know, people who
will.
really already hate Robert Pattinson's Batman, this is probably what you'll hear of, like, oh, he's useless, he does nothing in this movie, like he saves nobody, which isn't true. But
No.
he is behind Riddler for 95% of this movie.
Yeah.
And if you miss that that's the whole point of the movie, then yes, you could criticize this Batman for it.
Right.
But
also, that's
whole
Riddler.
point.
Like,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
don't use Riddler if he solves the riddles and defeats him immediately.
right, if Riddler sucks, then what's the, you know?
Yeah, then why
like-
use him?
Yeah.
like even all the way back in the Batman Forever movie, or I think it was Batman and Robin, whichever one was Jim Carrey.
Right,
Like,
it was forever.
But he was always one step behind Riddler. That's the whole point. Even up to the ending where they've got Riddler and Riddler calls him in and he doesn't know what's going on. And then you have that subtle thing in his eyes when he thinks he knows he's Bruce Wayne.
I know. Oh, that
So
moment.
good.
We're all like,
So
oh, we
good.
lost it. Okay.
it was such a minor amount of movement in Robert Pattinson's face for that
looking at the
moment.
camera. Geez,
Yeah.
here it comes. And then when he's like, oh, we almost got him, and he's like, oh my god, this guy doesn't know I'm Bruce Wayne.
And then he unloads. He's like immediately
Keep it
back in
together.
Batman. He snaps out of it and he's like,
Right.
tell me.
Yeah, keep it together, man.
It was so good, so good. Let's go ahead and jump. So we're kind of mentioned a lot of the moments we enjoyed. I still
Yeah.
loved the fight sequences. I loved
All
how
of them.
few and sparingly they were. Like it wasn't Batman didn't fight every single person he came up against.
Yeah.
I
No,
also
but there
loved.
are a ton of them.
But what I feel like is like, let's say this was executives, it would have been all the movie. I
Yeah.
loved that we would have a fight sequence and there's so much
This
time
is-
to decompress and do the mystery and then
Yeah.
get back to it.
This is a Batman who earns his title of world's greatest detective. I don't like
Yeah.
he's,
Say it in the movie. Way to
they
go.
sure do.
Like, way to do it. It's derisively, but whatever. But yeah, no, he's a detective. First 5 minutes, he's a detective. And I'm like, and for real though, not like, you know, where he's like looking at clues and putting together stories. Not like, you know, where he's a detective, like in friggin' Tom Taylor's Batman the Detective, where he doesn't detect anything.
I love that they add a little more to how he's the detective. He has this technology that is recording everything so that he
Yeah,
can do
very
it
cool.
again.
So he's like, because I do not have a photographic memory, but I do have photographic eyeballs. And I could just record it. That technology, I was like, this is cool. Like, man,
Yeah.
that's a cool idea.
neat.
What a fun,
Yeah.
what a fun world breaking moment.
I think the whole like, you know, the whole point of this movie to me, or like the whole theme, is that Batman puts up a persona that he is extremely experienced and everyone should be afraid of him, but he isn't.
Yeah.
And like
No.
that you show that they show that through action, and they show that through him not knowing everything in the world for no reason. Like there are there's a whole, like, him chasing the Penguin is an entire mess up on his part, and the Penguin is the one who has to tell him that he messed up. Like, this is not correct.
I love
Batman.
that. I love that realization. I love
Yeah.
that, the mess up right there, where he's like, "Am I the only one that knows Spanish?" Hell and law.
Oh, what?
Both of them are like, shit.
We're really bad at this. I also really just in a bit more about Gordon and Batman, where he'd be like, "Hey man, we gotta get out of here." Like there's at least 3 scenes where he goes, "We gotta get you out of here, man.
We gotta go.
Like,
Yeah.
how you're gonna get the keys when you punch me in the face."
I loved
So
that.
great.
I loved that sequence.
That scene where he's running out of the friggin' police precinct, and like every single cop in the tri-state area is in the police building at that time, and they're all chasing after him, and he's just like, I hope they don't shoot me. Like, just it looks so great. That moment where he uses the flight suit and his thing catches the bridge and just hits it, and the audience is like, no.
I love the amount of mess ups. I also love, if you didn't realize this, the amount of times they specified this is his second year. This is your second year. This is year 2. This is your and I feel like they hammered that in so that when he starts messing up, you're not like, no, it's Batman.
Right.
No, you're like,
right.
Oh God, year 2 was sloppy.
Yeah, I think
exactly.
I think it's because they knew that the last Batman you saw was in year 40.
Right.
Yeah.
It's been Batman forever.
But not Batman Forever.
No, never Batman forever.
So, okay, let's move on here. We'll go to the next things here. What did you guys think about the overall mystery about how the Waynes were involved and the discuss? Because I loved that they were hyping up that the Waynes were more involved. There was more of a problem, more issues, only to discover Falcone did all of this. Like, it was all
God.
Falcone. I was like, are we going to lean into Thomas Wayne was a bad guy? Like, bad guy.
Right.
Only to discover, no, Falcone. And then it was funny because we resolved Falcone and Natalie's like, isn't the Riddler still here? Like,
right.
Yeah.
Right.
I love that this movie, it doesn't like at that point where Falcone gets caught, it very easily could have been like, oh, and then the Riddler's done and that's the movie. But like we talked about like a bunch of these movies nowadays having a lot of unnecessary villains in them just to sell tickets. Yeah. And there are a lot of villains in this movie, but they all matter and they all tie in some way.
Yeah.
And it works. And it's like, like who cares if you're going to put 1 million villains in this movie? If they all are going to work and have a point, then yeah, do it. Do whatever you need to do.
Right. Yeah, just we'll be like we I think praised Marvel for the way how they're like we're not afraid to use villains or characters that are from the pantheon to serve a purpose in the story, right? It's like, here they are. That's what they did in this, where it's like, we need a mob boss that's less powerful than Falcone that needs a power grab. Well, it's year 2. Let's make it Penguin. We're going
to talk a whole episode on why he's getting an HBO Max show, but
when I first watched this movie, I was like, I'm not watching a Penguin show.
Yeah,
but maybe I will, because I liked Colin Farrell. We didn't talk about him. He's great. The makeup is awesome. My partner Ethan was like, why don't you just cast a guy who's good who looks like the Penguin? Like, why do you need to cast Colin Farrell and put him in and make him unrecognizable? And
I feel like that goes back to the WB thing of like, we need big name stars.
We need a name. A movie. Like, look, bravo, Colin Farrell! You transformed yourself. You're not wearing a wool cap in the middle of August anymore. You're just being the Penguin. Like, and by the way, he looked great and he did an awesome job. And I really liked the portrayal. No complaints whatsoever about Penguin. I loved it. He was great. He's the only moment of levity in the movie. It's just is him being like, oh.
I loved he just did a great job. The whole movie was overall great. Let's talk about the big finale, the discovery that Riddler had a master plan.
Oh my God.
And I love that that's technically what the third act would be, because like we got him in the prison. We got to the prison and we did the raise and we did the reveal that he doesn't know who Batman is. And then we discovered that there was a master plan and he's going to blow up the seawall.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, we have a whole big thing still happening? We're going into no man's land? What?
Yeah.
I was like, I was ready to go to bed, guys. Okay, here we go. Let's go in.
It was awesome. And so
that's when the henchmen all showed up and all that other stuff.
Show up and they funnel everybody into Gotham Square Garden. They have the mayoral election results come in. We got the new mayor who doesn't have any idea what she's just inherited.
I love that she's funny. Like, I'm going to talk to my people. It is immediately shot. Immediately.
Right away.
There was no delay. There was no, here's the speech. Immediately.
I appreciate that they're like, we're making a message about like poverty and, injustice and, haves and have-nots and all that. But I would have loved it if she got shot. She's like, get me the hell out of this place. Like, and she was like, I am done. I have been shot by a bullet. I have completely lost any interest in being mayor of this cesspool, leaving. Like, I would have loved that, but I'm also happy that she was like, no, but Gotham though. And I'm like, all right, good luck.
I think it's so important that she was there, because the moment like when Batman starts rescuing people out of the water and he's holding his hand out and she's like refusing to take it, and then out of nowhere the orphaned kid comes and grabs his hand. I almost started crying. I was like, oh, And then that's the push that the new mayor needed, that Gotham needed to accept Batman as like a hopeful figure.
Yeah.
And she takes his hand, and it's like, yes.
And I love that. I love that
thing.
cap on the message that he's not just fear, and him realizing I'm not just vengeance. I'm not just fear. I'm the hope that Gotham needs.
Right? Well,
Such a turn from every other WB portrayal of Batman. You know, where he's literally just, I'm Batman, fear me. That's what they go for. Like,
yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, and I think it's because they're like, well, how many Batman movies are we going to get out of these people? Like, you know we shouldn't hope for 4 because...
Well, I mean, right now,
well.
I think they're officially signed on for 2.
Okay.
But for those who don't know, this was supposed to be a one-off.
Right.
This was not a trilogy.
Well, the funny thing is, you know that, right? Like, they Matt Reeves, Pattinson, Kravitz, they're all like, well, we really just wanted to do this Batman movie because we really believed in the story, blah, 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 blah. But, like, there's no way, after seeing this movie, that I was like, there's no way Warner Brothers is going to let them get away with making just one. Like,
well, but if you don't remember, this original movie was Matt Reeves and Ben Affleck.
I know.
And it was the one-off part of Ben Affleck's Batman contract.
Mm-hmm.
He was getting one solo Batman movie. Everything else is going to be in everything.
Universe, yeah.
Yeah. So that is what this was. So I think I've already heard rumors that we're getting a sequel. And let's talk about the finale here. We're going to talk more in length about the big reveal at the finale, the big discovery, but obviously is leading into a potential sequel. So we'll do a full discussion about what this could mean in a different area, but let's talk briefly about it here. How did you feel about the Joker reveal? Because that is setting up a sequel now.
Yeah, yeah.
If that wasn't there, I would have said, wow, we might not get a sequel.
It's the only thing they could have cut.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you think so?
I'm extremely torn on it.
I hate it.
Yeah, I'm tired of the Joker, but I know that there are so many people that aren't and really like the Joker. I was kind of interested, like, as someone who didn't really like the Joker movie. Throughout the movie, I was interested in the idea that they could tie them together.
Yeah,
and you can very easily headcanon that. But then you get to the Joker, and it's very clearly not Joaquin Phoenix.
But remember, he made multiple. There were Jokers.
Yes, and he talks like he is that Joker, or he has been. Like, obviously he's been the Joker at some point because he's here, but he didn't fight Batman because Batman wasn't there. So it's interesting.
It's a terrible idea, and it hamstrings them to comparisons and and retreading, as opposed to like the bold new direction they've actually forged. I am disappointed that they couldn't resist it.
If you actually, I saw an interview on Matt Reeves about it, and he says that the reason it's not Joaquin Phoenix and they had no intention of crossing over with that Joker is this movie's been in production for 5 years.
Right. Like, there was no
idea. Yeah, he's like, he did not even know what that movie was when they were working on this. So
it adds nothing to the movie, and all it is, it's their post credit scene, but in the movie, and
which I appreciate. I'm so tired of waiting for post credits, but
yeah, there was like a thing, but it was nothing. No, don't worry about it. You didn't miss.
No, I googled. Yeah, it was just the Joker site. I mean, the Riddler cipher. It all it translates to is goodbye. Yeah, and it was like that's it.
Like, I'm not staying for that, which I didn't. But
no, I didn't either. Yeah.
But if you the website has been an ARG for like months now, and they updated it for the release of the movie. It's just, if you do it and solve all the riddles, it just downloads the video that Riddler made in the movie about Thomas Wayne and Hush, which people are saying Hush is the next movie, but I doubt
like that Easter egg. But we'll do a whole Easter egg video. So overall thoughts. I think I've got to look at all my movies in general, but this may be taking the cake as now my new favorite superhero movie, even with my nitpicks and issues.
I'm tentative to say that, but when I wake up this morning and I'm still thinking about the movie, and I am having to watch an episode of Superman and Lois for work, and the whole time I'm watching it, I'm like, man, the Batman has ruined everything, every other superhero property for me. I'm like, maybe there's something to this movie that I really like.
Right?
So.
Yeah, this is definitely my favorite Batman movie.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Totally.
And I think it's one of the more comic accurate superhero movies.
Yeah. I think the scene of, just again, another gorgeous shot of Batman with the flare leading that massive group of people out of the water in Gotham Square Garden, that is like the most like comic book Batman I have ever seen portrayed in live action. That was fantastic.
Yeah, they nailed it. I was blown away by this movie in general. I will say, you know, they talked about how this movie is like more grounded and all this other like nonsense. And honestly, like this is, we did a whole video on this channel about like our pitches for like the DC cinematic universe.
Yeah.
This is exactly what I'm talking about, where it's like, make movies that are specifically catered thematically and visually and aesthetically to the character.
Yeah.
Right.
In the DC, like when the explosions are going off and the sea is going into Gotham, for a split second, I was like, Superman could show up. Like,
But he shouldn't.
I partially expected when they were doing the news thing showing like when everyone was saving everyone.
Yeah.
I was partially expecting a silhouette.
Right.
Just to kind of zoom in and zoom out.
Right,
And that'd be it. That would be it.
It could work. Now, here's the thing. This is a beautiful movie. It's a brilliant piece of artistic expression. It's a film, and it works. But it also could still be a good template for a new DC universe. Like, I still feel like this could work, where it's like, you could make a Green Lantern movie that's made by, like, Ridley Scott, or, like, somebody who, like, gets space opera, who does, you know, and make that, and it doesn't feel anything like the Batman, but it's in the same universe.
Right.
It's like that. Just don't be afraid to make very specific tonal movies that all work together, because it worked. Like, I don't, you know, Venom is in this movie. Like, you could still have fantastical elements in this in this universe.
Like
what? Wait, was it Venom? Because I was debating if it was Venom.
It's definitely
or if it was an EpiPen.
It's got to be, right? It's a green fluid.
It's a green fluid that made him suddenly magically better.
I was like, is that Venom or did he do EpiPen? Is like both would kind of do that.
Yeah.
One's a much cooler Easter egg.
No, like, legitimately, like for me, I'm like, oh, we got like an adrenaline shot, and my wife turns to me and she's like, Venom, and I'm like, ooh,
exactly.
I think that's another really cool thing about this movie is that it stays isolated. Like there's another Matt Reeves interview where somebody asked him, was like, "Oh, you put Superman in your movie?" And he's like, "Why would I? Like Batman is Batman.
Yeah,
like we could just do Batman."
I remember them talking about how they talked a little bit about like, could we have like a guy in a cape, and like in this grounded reality, Superman is just some guy who's trying to help but he has no powers. And I'm like, shut up.
That's so stupid.
Don't do that.
Everything. No. I would have just loved if during the the only thing I think they could have gotten away with it would have been perfect is in the news report. You don't even have to have them show up. Just have like Superman and Aquaman on site helping. Like that. It's just on the news.
I don't want that. I don't want it that much.
No.
Because I want it. I want a slow build. You know, like if you're gonna do a Superman thing, have Batman and Superman meet. They're friends. They're colleagues over here. You know, and then Superman's like, I got a league, and Batman's like, pass.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
that's what's like that. I think that's why the Joker moment, like, it kills it for me so much. Is like this movie is so like, it's so much about itself, and then you get to that point, and it's like, oh well, this like you said, Sal, like this serves nothing for the movie. This is just here. Like it sort of informs like maybe where Riddler could go. But again, like that's later. But we want to be here.
Yeah, we're here now, and even like. I don't want Riddler influenced by the Joker.
No.
You know, I want Riddler to think, well, my identity's out. If I'm going to keep going, maybe I won't wear duct tape on my face anymore. You know, like, maybe I'll go full Riddler with it. You know, like, I you know, like, especially where it's like, I had 500 followers. Like, I'm pretty popular.
I like that.
I think I'm going to go for it. Like, I'm going to put myself out there. Like, I'm okay with that idea. But Joker, come on. And I know that I was literally just being like, and Superman should show up. But like, they didn't do that. But they did put Joker in it. And I do have a problem with just, and it's not even about the joke. It's more like, for me, it's about like, now you you don't have the time to come up with a new Joker idea. Like, he's there now.
Well, no,
he's already there.
He has makeup. We've seen it. Like, we know what he looks like and what his old motivation
I'll
is.
disagree with you on that one, though. I'll disagree. Because while he is cast and he is there, they kept him silhouetted enough.
Right, but then why do it at all?
I agree. I agree. But I'm just saying,
you're still tethered to the idea that the Joker existed, did something enough to end up in Arkham, and you know he has a history, and you have to play with that now, and you're stuck with that. Like you can't retcon that.
Unless they do the whole like multiple Jokers thing, like they did in that show that you guys watch.
Sure.
Oh yeah, Monahan and Gotham, and that could work. It's not a terrible idea. They did a whole book called Three Jokers.
I'm so tired of the Joker.
Yeah, nobody likes Three Jokers.
All right, well, this is our Jennifer review of Batman. Make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. There's going to be we got a whole list of a couple Batman topics. All of next week's going to be Batman and a lot more spoiler talks, so make sure you stick around. We'll be knocking out an Easter egg video and a couple other things, so just hit that subscription button, hit that notification, and join us. We are absolutely Marvel and DC. We talk about all your favorite superhero movies and TV shows, and the next one on our list is Sal, the one he's been waiting for, the next big movie, Morbius, baby!
Morbius.
Oh boy!
All right, thank you guys so much. We'll see you next time right here.